Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Grin Guardian Gang, where we sit and we talk all things challenge coins, military history, police history, fire history, all kinds of fun stuff. Over the past couple days, the only thing new to report from our shows is that we are still growing, and as of 11 p.m. Central Time tonight, we will be going out with the Paranormal Guys live on WFRN Nashville. I'm sorry, it won't be live. It'll be tape delayed, but we'll still be live. I'm alive. So, all right. Well, we've got a special guest tonight. So let's see. First off, who I got in backstage here? I have Mr. Andy. Hello, Andy. How are you?
All right.
Oh, so I got to figure out what button to push. Apparently, I've never done this before. And then our guest, his name is also Andy, so we can't get him confused. Hello there. Do you want us to call Andrew or Andy?
What's hanging?
Hey, not much, sir. How are you tonight?
Doing really fine. How about yourself?
Doing well. We've got a live show tonight. We're going out on YouTube. We are on Twitter. Well, no, it's called X now. Twitch, Trovo. I think we may even be on Rumble. I don't know. We're all over the place. So we've got a live call-in number if anybody wants to. It's 1-888-88-YERGZ. Thanks to our good friends at Yerg's Radio, and the chat is open, so we'll get some live questions, even maybe a phone call. You never know. So tell us a little bit about yourself. Is it okay to call you Andy? Because I got another Andy up there.
Referring to me, yes, absolutely.
All right, I got dueling Andys up there. So tell us a little bit about yourself, sir.
Well, I'm not as young as I used to be. I wrote a book, as you're aware of.
Yes, sir.
I'm from San Antonio originally. I've been living in Arizona now about 12, 13 years after being retired in Central Florida for 15. My poor dear wife, the inspiration that I needed to do my book, passed away, unfortunately, a couple of years ago. So I'm alone here in Arizona, me and the dog, and in a big old house by ourselves. So,
well,
I'm in great health. I might like to add that, thank
well,
the
that's
Lord.
always good. That's always good. And in Arizona, if you can stand the heat, otherwise it's pretty good weather. So
it's absolutely great these last few weeks, and I've been here long enough to know when it's not great, but we've had some really bad weather over the years at this time of year, but it's really great right now.
Yeah. One of our guests was asking what book. Your book is called Drift. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'll show you a picture of it, if I may.
Oh, absolutely. Trust me, it shows all about you. We're laid back here. Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
So this is your story of how you went from, if I read correctly, high school dropout to aviation.
Yeah, it'll probably not sell too much because nobody ever heard of me. But it's,
No,
it is a good story. I know I sent you a copy. I don't know if you had a chance to open it yet.
no, I haven't gotten it yet. I don't think, unless you sent
Well,
an email.
my son, I only got my copies yesterday, actually, and my son got his a little earlier than mine. I asked him to mail you one. He said he did, but even if you got it, you wouldn't have had an opportunity to read it. So it's about 400 pages long. I start the book at birth. That might sound boring, and not to me because I knew everybody, and and I progressed through the book in a conversation like fashion. I went up to 16. Do my earlier years, and before I hit 16, of course, was the magic number. But you want me to go on, or?
No. Please go
Oh,
ahead.
okay.
This is your
So,
story. I'm
so I'll,
interested.
I'll make it a little more brief. I had a wild time when I turned 16. I had more than one or two or three cars between the time I was 16 and the time I turned 17 and a half and joined the Coast Guard. I
Probably a
progressed through
couple. I was gonna say probably a
and
couple girls in there too.
I'm sorry.
So there was probably a couple girls in there too. They always get us in trouble.
Few, not too many at that point in time, but a few. And the details, what few they are in the book. Uh, I had a tumultuous time. I got married just before I turned 20. My wife said she was 17. Turned out she was 16. And so
Ooh,
we had an on and off marriage for 6 years and two children. That's
wow.
never going to end well, and it never did. So I got through that point in my life. I made it to my first. Imagine being in Puerto Rico when you're 18 years old, and this was back in 1958, I believe. And so I had a good time in Puerto Rico. Spent a year there. Came back and went to a school. Once got into aviation finally. Flew in everything the Coast Guard had, more or less, for a while, and I was making courses all along the way. And so, what's the next big thing? When I came back from Puerto Rico, I went to AL school. I came out in aviation, third class, aviation electronics man, and that I got kind of stuck there for a while, but eventually I made it. I made it through. Made chief, made
Ooh,
warrant officer. Went to OCS, came out a JG, went to isolated duty. It's a nice story in there about this little island Pacific paradise I was on for a year. Nothing other, no solid matter any direction from where I was for 750 miles. Uh, the base was on an island that was 3/4 of 1 square mile
oh
and
Lord.
750 miles from anywhere. And I had an antenna for my. In those days, we supported the Air Force's efforts in Vietnam. So I was the XO of a all Iran transmitting base. That's my primary function there. And if my antenna had fallen either way, any direction, and not had collapsed, it was a collapsible antenna. But had it fallen anyway, it would have landed in the water. So it was 1,350 feet tall. We pumped out 1,000,000 watts of energy. I know I'm hurrying, but I don't want to bore anyone. My marriage, the first one dissolved. I met my second wife when I was in RCA Institutes. I got to go to college for 2 years in New York City. I was single at the time. I met a woman. Turned out she was married to another guy, but it was primarily her interest in me. I think we ended up together. So that's in the book. It's a lot of details. So
Well,
I'd be
so
glad to. You haven't read the book. Uh, you promised me, and you didn't promise me. You indicated I could come back after some time
you
and
can, you
had a
can
chance to read it. I I,
absolutely.
I can't guarantee your money back. I can guarantee you. I think I do believe it'll be interesting read. Otherwise, I wouldn't have written it. The
True.
Lord has moved through my life, and uh, although I'm not a devout Christian, I recognize the many times that His agents have kept me out of serious trouble, and mainly that's what prompted me to write the book. Is that I've been the beneficiary of so many good things. I wanted to share the story. So,
Well, absolutely. We wanted to hear it, and yeah, you can come back. You're more than welcome to come back. We ask our guests to come back anytime they want to if they have a good time and they like us. So yeah, and I'm looking. I have not actually read a Coast Guard Coastie book. I think I told you one of my emails that coming out of high school, I wanted to be a Coast Guard. I wanted to be a pararescue, and I played football and broke both my knees, and that was a no-go in the 80s when they weren't so desperate for people. They were like, "Oh, well, you can go to the Army." I'm like, "Yeah, hard pass." So.
I'm trying to get my great-grandson, believe it or not, I have one, and he's going to graduate high school this year. I'm leaning on him to go to the Coast Guard Academy. I'm sure he could earn his way in. He's a little lukewarm on the idea so far, so I'm going to stay on him until I get a yes from him.
Here you go. Yeah, only in my graduating class, a lot of them went Army and Navy. Only one of my friends went Coast Guard, and he ended up down in the Keys driving I'll just say, gunboat ship, doing all that stuff down there. He had a blast. And of course, in the 80s, that was a wild area. So, yeah, that's and I hate I never got to do that, but I went into civilian world and did fire EMS. So never lost that.
My book stops at age 57. What happened was I went into 17 and a half. I got out at 45. I worked in aerospace for a number of years, and then Ronald Reagan was good enough to run the Russians out of money, so they couldn't stay up with Star Wars. That kind of made technical aerospace program managers kind of sparse. So I ended up with Sylvania Lighting Company as a regional lighting engineer for the last 4 or 5 years. And I've been happily retired since 1995, actually. I'm working on the sequel. I left the book open-ended because I've been retired 30 years almost. So a lot more has happened. So I'm going to write the last chapters.
Okay. Well, there's always time to write a couple novels in there too. So never know. You never know.
I hope I haven't bored you to tears.
You are not boring me to tears by any means. So, were you only in communications, or were you also an aviation pilot? Were you a pilot?
No, I was an air crew member for 8 years.
Okay.
I was enlisted 13 years, and I was a commissioned officer for almost 16.
Okay. I wish Matt was here. He's got some personal family things going on. He's the guy that's the Navy chief, and he's just retiring. He's punching out after, 20 some years, but he looks like he's 12 years old. I'm like, what do you do? You still got plenty of time to go, Matt. So
it goes without saying, I think, that I enjoyed my career immensely. And what prompted me to write the book in the beginning, I'd always felt that I had been the beneficiary of so many of God's gifts. And so I felt I owed it to somebody to pass it on. But when my wife passed on, I needed something to look forward to, so to speak. And who knows? I ended up with this. It's a good book. I wouldn't recommend it if I didn't think it was. So, of course, I am very close to the subject.
You're a little biased, but that's okay. So one of the questions our guests or persons in the chat asked, Uncommon Soul, she asked, how long did it take you to write the book?
Oh, I think it took me only probably took me probably 9 months to write the book, and then the actual, once you get a publisher and you go through that ordeal, I secured my publisher back in October, and it's not out on the street until the 16th of next month. I've been done with it. All the editing's done. As you can see, the book is actually produced. That took from mid-October until now, actually, but I finished with it 6 or 8 weeks ago. All the editing and all of the getting the photos in and arranged and everything. So I finished that a while ago.
How long is it? How does one go about finding an editor? Do you just shop around, or did?
Yeah, well, there's several ways. If you're a self-publisher, which I'm not, I considered it. I looked at everything on YouTube, and I knew I could do it. I learned everything I needed to know in order to do it. But because of the nature of the text, and I shopped around to see if there was a real publisher that would consider doing the book, and I came across Trilogy, which is they're owned by TBM, I believe. Yes, the Bible Network, and to my much surprise, they were interested, and so it's sort of an interesting thing that they do all their business by emails and primarily. So I was a little leery at first. I wasn't quite sure. You know, you never know. I got took about 10 or 12 years ago, maybe longer than that. I lost a little money in a scam, which in all, it was as real as I can tell you. But it turned out to be a scam, and I lost a little money. And myself and some other people saw fit that the guy went to spend some time in the slammer. But so I wasn't quite sure that they were legit for a long time, and I double checked and everything to make sure. And sure enough, they were. And sure enough, I produced a book, basically.
Good. Well, the people out there will take advantage of you. That's for sure. I got.
Well, you've got to be very careful, and I have to be triple careful now because all of the elements of being me are in that book. Birthdays, maiden names, and everything that they ever ask. So I've had to do a lot of changing in my own personal accounts.
Yeah,
I probably should have changed my name.
Yeah, it's funny. I had an author contact me earlier on an email I don't normally use for the show, and was asking about coming on the show, but said this wasn't his real identity. He didn't want to reveal who he really was. I'm like,
I have a friend almost that bad.
Like, okay. Like, what are you gonna? You had to talk about some government conspiracies or something? I mean, so I haven't heard back. I don't.
These are interesting times in which we're living, so you can't be too careful.
No, you can't. In fact, we had a major on from the police department in Northern Virginia that was just talking about a lot of the electronic scams going around and how people are just getting. It seems so real. And in fact, I just happened to be in Knoxville where my mom lives, and she got a call from her bank, and they were like, "You got to come down here right away and draw out money and do this and that." And I'm like, "Whoa, hold on, Mom. Who are you talking to?" She's like, "It's the bank," and she was like all upset. And I'm like, "Let me talk to him." I was like, "So what's your address there at the bank?" And they're like, "Who are you?" And I'm like, "No, I'm asking the questions now." And he couldn't answer the question of what the address was of the bank. I said, "Well, if you're calling from a bank, and I know her bank, she's been with them in Tennessee for several years, and they're not a very large bank. What's the name of the bank?" So yeah. So I was like, "Mom, give me that phone. We're gonna put spam guard on you."
So Andy, can you hear me, Andy? The other Andy there, can he hear me?
Yeah, he can hear you.
Yep,
Yeah,
I can.
I was just curious. What is your background? Well, I'm a little interested in to whom I'm speaking, actually.
I do photography for the fire departments.
Great. I bet you had some really good shots, so to speak.
Yeah, a lot.
And may I ask, where do you live?
Maryland.
Maryland. Yeah, I spent 12 years in D.C. In the area. I lived in the Virginia side, but
Oh, nice.
so I'm quite familiar. In fact, one of my last jobs, I managed a program for Westinghouse Aerospace. They were out of the BWI airport there.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
So anyway, it's interesting. And Glenn, I know a little about you. Who else?
Yeah.
Is there anyone else on the podcast?
No, nobody. Matt said he might jump in a little while. I think he had some children he had to take to a basketball game or something. I'm not sure.
That's
so
a worthy endeavor there.
yeah, but so yeah, he may be here in a bit. But no, it's just me and Andy. Now I'm in Atlanta. I was originally I'm from Fairfax, Virginia. Mount Vernon is where I grew up. So
yeah, I know where that is. I am a master mason of many years. We have a temple there, Kena Temples in Fairfax, actually.
Yep, the big one there in Alexandria. So yeah.
When I became a member of Kena Temple, you're going to love this one, Andy. Our big events were held in the firehouse. We didn't have a temple; we just had the property, and we were a new Shriner, and so we hadn't built a temple yet. Mm-hmm. My most memorable parties I've been to were in the firehouse in Fairfax County.
Nice.
We came back, my wife and I, we were gone. Being in the military, I was transferred in and transferred out and transferred here. But when we came back, we did come back. I made 3 different tours in D.C. So when we came back this one time, they actually had a temple, which is a pretty glorious thing. It's located right next to the firehouse there. And but, we discussed it among ourselves that the most fun we ever had was in the firehouse.
Yep, those can always be fun.
Yep, it's always fun.
So can anybody watch this podcast?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, I see the numbers and everything.
Yeah. No, it's on YouTube. It'll be on YouTube forever, unless we do something stupid to get taken down, but I don't plan on that.
Well, I was curious when you offered me an opportunity to come on your show. I I didn't know what to expect. Frankly, I mean, I'm glad you did. I'm glad I got to meet Andy, and you, of course.
Of course, yeah. Were you ever assigned to the Coast Guard station up off Telegraph Road in Fairfax?
Oh, sure. I spent. I designed myself and one other officer designed what is known as the Transportable Communications Central. It basically was a trailer about the size of a good U-Haul with Coast Guard emblazoned on it, and it was complete with almost the entire aircraft suite of communications equipment. That's how I came into the program. I graduated from college in New York, and that was my first assignment, was to go to co-design this thing. I did all of the electronic design in it. My good friend Al, he did the mechanical. Took me 2.5 years, and took us 2.5 years.
I was going to ask
you. In that interim, I had made warrant officer, and then I was transferred to that island I was talking about. So,
yeah, I was going to ask you. Remember there was a very large fire in the late '90s at the Coast Guard station.
I wouldn't have been there. I wouldn't have known anything about that. I left there.
That was one of the largest and hottest fires. We couldn't get enough water in to the structure.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I believe it.
We had to shut down telegraph. It went several miles.
Were you a firefighter also, or?
I was, yes, sir. Yeah. My first job in the fire department actually was with Fairfax. I was a photo unit. And then when I got a little bit older, had kids, I moved to Knoxville with my family, and went on to paramedic school, and so I've just kind of been with the fire department all my life. I'm medically
I've
retired
learned
out of Atlanta now. So.
in my retirement years, of course, my wife and I, we've had a fifth wheel trailer forever. I still have one actually, and I'm going to take another trip in a couple of months. But we used to live when we lived in Florida. I hope no one from Florida is listening, but between the months of June and late October, nobody can live there. The humidity and the heat is so terrible, and we would saddle up, so to speak, and drag that thing around the United States. It was not uncommon to uh, to run out 10,000 miles on the summer. We did it a lot. Went to Canada a few times, and always had to go to California because that's where my wife's mother was until 2000, until we bought her a place, and she became a Floridian in the last 5 years of her life. But you know, and so here I am in Arizona. You can't stay here in the summer either. So
No, it's very hot.
I have a little place up near Flagstaff that I actually bought that while I still live in California. I mean, in Florida. So I have to escape here before long. It's starting to warm up already. So.
Yeah, when I was a flight paramedic, we would fly in there and it would be like 115, and everybody's like, "Oh, it's a dry heat." I'm like, it's a heat.
Right.
It's a heat.
I didn't mean to go off on a tangent, but
No.
But I've known a number of firefighters, and that's what I was getting around to. And they stick together. They're part of a unique group, much like the Coast Guard, and so they hang together a lot, and I think that's great.
Yeah. That's the nice thing. We're a brotherhood. When I'm out traveling, if I need to stop somewhere or something, and I did it a lot with the kids, I don't know, but if I had to make an emergency pit stop or something and there was a firehouse, I was like, pull in here. You're always welcome in a firehouse. So.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the one nice thing is we're a big family no matter where you are in the country. So
I have to ask you, Glenn, did you use AI to derive that picture that you did so quickly the other day?
Yes, it's funny you say that. I was behind because I have 3 shows, and Matt, the gentleman who's not here, he is the AI expert for the Navy. So I was like, Matt, can you whip up something real quick for me? I sent him a copy of your little bio with the cover.
It's really good, by the way. That's
he sent me.
I want to share this story. It won't take long.
Sure.
After I had written my book and had found a company that wanted to publish it, I hadn't named it yet, and I didn't have a cover or anything. So. You can you can see these types of stories on YouTube a lot, but what it really happened to me at 3:00 one morning, I woke up and the name Adrift was in great big letters across my forehead almost. I hadn't thought much about what the name should be, but that came to me and it fit so accurately. I grabbed a hold of it. A few days later, the cover image came to me exactly like you see it on the cover. I'm fortunate enough to know that the person that's a painting, by the way, the cover, he's a friend of mine. And he helped me a great deal. There's some photos in the book that are old. And I was up north in near Flagstaff, away from my current place where I have the repository of everything. And I didn't have all the paintings and everything I needed, but I mean the pictures. But he did some miraculous jobs of making those pictures meet the 300 DPI requirement for the publication. And so I just asked him one day. We both belonged to a little country club up in Munns Park, and we're sitting after a round of golf and talking. And so I'm trying to remember what the hell I asked him. Oh, I asked him if he thought he could do that because he had indicated an interest in doing those. And sure enough, he said he could. So I asked him if he'd be interested in if I gave him the concept, if he would endeavor to do it for me. And He said, yeah, and he showed me something. He'd already done something similar for himself. So I put him on contract, and I said, here's the idea, and he gave me the idea, and he came right up with it. It evolved over about 3 months. I mean, it wasn't instant, but so his name is David Wingert. He's a retired aerospace engineer. He did a marvelous job. So
yeah, Matt is he's with the Navy out in somewhere in Vegas. I don't understand what the Navy's doing in Vegas, but he's out there doing some computer work, and that's his job is AI. And when I asked him, I sent him a copy of your book, and I said, "Hey, this is your little bio." I said, "Can you whip up something real quick for me?" It wasn't.
He did a great job.
Oh yeah, it was like 30 minutes. What, Andy? And I had like 3 or 4 pictures. I mean,
yeah, at least 3.
I tell you that AI is going to put a hurting on a lot of people. Unfortunately, that's the best. It's great that you can do something like that in a snap of your fingers almost, but someone that used to get paid to do that won't be required to do it anymore.
Yeah. Well, I think that's part of the problem is we've become used to everything being at the snap of our fingers.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's going to hurt us in the long run.
In the long run, got to be careful too. Well, anyway, you guys have seen the Terminator and all the movies I've seen. If computers get out of control, we might have our hands full.
Yeah,
might be working for them.
Exactly. I've always liked the movies Transformers, but I don't think I want one in front of my house. Did you have any challenge coins, Andy? Or
I'm sorry?
Do you have any challenge coins?
No, I don't know what they are. Actually, could you show me one? Or
okay, absolutely. Well, it's a funny story. We just got in. A challenge coin is basically a symbol of either like your unit or military or fire department history, and there's really not a whole lot of them for Coast Guard that I've seen. There was a really nice one. It looks like the ID for the cat. That was the only cat that was ever given a military government ID. It was a Coast Guard cat.
I see your patch, and I know you're into those too. And yes, I do have those. So that's a challenge coin.
Yeah, this is actually our show coin. These just came in this week.
Oh, cool.
Actually, just the other day, yesterday.
That's nice.
Neat.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's just for display, I guess, or.
Yeah, display. It's a hobby. A lot of people collect them. Like my old department, it's a square one because our patch was square.
Yeah. Here, I've got a few patches. I'll show them to you. Hang on.
Cool.
I'll be right back.
Yes, that came in too.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, it was a smaller than I thought. I would say it was a little bit bigger, but I like it.
Yeah. The coin came out good. I
like the
designs on it.
It did. So I'm going to sit down and make up a spreadsheet, and then I'll divvy up the numbers, and then we'll figure out there's going to be a contest or something how we're going to give them away. So
cool.
I think we owe the major one.
These are on my flight jacket. I just had them mounted the other day. If I can figure out how to get it into the view. How's that?
Oh, nice.
I don't know which that one is. That's for Loran Station, where I spent a year of my life. Believe me, you didn't want to be there. But there's a great story in the book, at least one, and you ought to read it. You will read it, Glenn. You got the book.
I will. I promise I will read it.
Okay, where am I now? Oh, okay. That's for Coast Guard Air Station Arlington, which is our headquarters unit. We fly the admirals and everybody at that unit.
That's a little weird, yeah.
When I spent the 3 years at Telegraph Road, almost 3 years, my base of attachment was, I was actually attached to this unit, but I worked every day for almost 3 years at Telegraph Road. So that's the only way they could keep me on flight pay.
The airfield near there do they use Reagan, or do they use Davidson?
Oh, that's right at Washington International
Okay,
Airport.
so they use Okay,
Yeah,
all right.
we got half a hangar on in that area, and this is my favorite. I spent 3.5 years at Salem, Massachusetts.
Oh,
That's
nice.
cool.
With the witch, yeah.
It's no longer there. Most of the don't laugh, but most of the units I stationed at are no longer functional. I spent 3 years at. I spent 5 years in New England, 2.5 at Salem, 2.5 at Quonset Point, Rhode Island, if you know where that is. They had a huge naval air station there, and myself and four other. Let's see, it was two of us, four crew members. Let's see, four crew members and four pilots. We had one airplane, and in the wintertime, we were the number one airplane that had to go out and do search and rescue because Salem was a strictly water runway operation, and they couldn't take off when the runways were full of ice chunks. So it was a very good tour duty.
Out of Baltimore, it's not BWI. I'm trying to think of a little airport. There's also a runway that goes into the water for float planes. What was it?
When I was in Baltimore, I was an aerospace program manager. I was hired away. I was in California for 5 years running, and I managed a satellite bill for NOAA through NASA. NASA contracted, and I ran the program from the builder. But I won't go into why I quit, but something soured in my stomach, and I quit after 4 years. And I was on the street looking for a job. Couldn't find one for 5 months. I had a pretty high level of pay, so they weren't growing on window sills anywhere. But when I did find an opportunity, I got three great ones simultaneously. Three great ones. One from NASA in Greenbelt, Maryland. Another from Westinghouse Aerospace there in Baltimore, Washington Airport. And then another one, which I probably should have taken in the beginning, but I didn't. It was like 6 blocks down the street from where I lived in California. So anyway, I took the one in Maryland. And like I said earlier, Ronnie did such a good job of running the Ruskies out of money that that's when their little kingdom started to come apart. And as a consequence, the job I got hired to manage dissolved. It was a black program for the Air Force, and they no longer needed the equipment, basically. So they never funded us. So I ended up a program manager without a program. That's in the book too. And, but here's where God comes into this picture. Here I am, all my stuff's in storage. I didn't want to stay there, even though the person who hired me said, "Look, I'm going to make you the deputy program manager over here." And I said, I said to myself, that's not really a job I signed up for, is what I said to myself. So one day near Christmas time, I got on the phone and I called the guy I turned down in California, and I asked him, I said, "Frank, is that job, do you still want a manager for that job?" And he says, "I don't know, Andy." He said, "What's the matter? You're getting cold?" And it was cold at that time. And he ran next door, and I said, I figured he was going to say, "Well, I'll call you back." He said, "Hang on, I'll go to Charlie." Charlie was the president of the company, and they had offices adjacent to one another. He put me on hold, ran next door, came back a couple minutes later and said, "Yeah, we do. We still want you." This was like 3 months later. And so I asked him, I said, "You're going to love this sport." I love it. I said, "Frank, I hate to ask you, but I know I missed that evaluation period where I would be eligible for a raise." And he said to me, he says, "How much more do you want, Andy?" I had to relate that. It was interesting. So I pumped him for a little bit more, but the main thing is this new company shipped all my furniture back to California, paid me and my wife. We just sold a house. I had to go back and buy a different house. He shipped us back to California, paid all our expenses. and only God could have managed that. I mean,
Yeah.
here I am. Took me 3 months to even get an offer, and I had 2 top line jobs. One, I didn't want to stay in Maryland under the conditions that they wanted me to stay, so I wanted out. Interestingly enough, the company, I still remember signing the paperwork when I took the job there, and it said if I left the company for any reason within a year, I had to pay them back for every penny they spent getting me there. So I kept waiting for them to lay that farm in the desk when I did my exit interview. Never came up, so I went and asked the HR guy that was there, and I said, "Hey, where's that farm about having to pay you back all that money?" And he says, "I don't know what you're talking about." So they wanted to get rid of me as bad as I wanted to go.
Well, that might have been a good thing at the time.
It was a good thing. It was.
I've always wondered what is. I know under wartime, because my grandfather was a merchant marine, but he ended up retiring with the Coast Guard because of the war somehow. I don't know exactly how that worked because it was, well, a little bit before my time, but what is
during wartime? During wartime, the Coast Guard, and as in World War II, is transferred from the Department. Right now, we're the Department of, not me, but they, whoever's in the Coast Guard now, they work for the Department of Homeland Security. Well, from 1790 up until, let me see when. 1790 up until the 1970s, I think. The Coast Guard was under the Department of Transportation. At that time, they were under the Department of Treasury. Yeah. We used to enforce Treasury rules, and at that time they become part of the Department of Transportation. And of course, after 9/11, they were transferred into the Homeland Security. That's when they created the department. That's where they are today. What will happen is if there's a full-blown war, they'll be transferred to the Department of the Navy.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. Is I saw our president, commander-in-chief now, is got units over in Japan. Why do we have?
There's so many things that have transpired. I kept up pretty much for a number of years afterwards, but I've been gone a long, long time. So whatever they're doing today, I'm not really aware of. I do know they're doing a lot of things that I'm glad I didn't have to do when I was in.
I'm sure. Yeah, I always thought. I knew that in wartime they went with the Navy, which I respect and appreciate, but we're not at war. At least I don't think we are.
Here's another thing too. They do transfer people between departments for special purposes. So even though you're in the Coast Guard, you could easily work for any other department if they had a need for you.
Mm-hmm.
They just transfer you right over on a temporary basis.
Yeah. I had a friend that was he was actually Army, but he had a degree in electronic communications, and he got transferred to a sub. I was like, wait a minute, you had to pound the ground. Now you're in a sub. He's like, I was short and they needed a programmer. I didn't want to go.
That's a very good illustration of what I said. If they need your specialty and you fit all the requirements and you're not in their service, believe me, you will be.
Yeah. They apparently needed some, whatever it was he did with communications, computers, and radar and stuff. They were like, all right, you're going. He goes, wait, that's underground. That's underwater.
So how often do you do this podcast?
This show is every Friday night from 9 until, and we don't really have a specific time that we wind down. I do a regular show on Wednesday night called The Paranormal Guyz, and that's been going for coming up on 2 years. And that's where we take and interview authors, entertainers, athletes, ask them all kinds of questions.
Well, after my book finally gets available for purchase,
and that's where I was going to.
If there are any questions about it, I'd be glad to try to answer them. But I know you guys hadn't done that yet, so.
Yeah, and that's where I was probably going to try and have you come over to do that show. And then we always ask if you've ever had any paranormal experiences during any of your, I mean, like as a firefighter, I've had weird things happen. I know athletes talk about that. And a lot of people have ghosts.
I've had a couple of things that have happened in my life that I don't know if they fit the paranormal description, but I won't go into them now. So if you invite me back, I'll go into them then.
Absolutely. You're more than welcome to come back, sir. Like I said,
I've enjoyed this. I'm going to have to buzz out here if I cannot do that. Or
you're absolutely allowed to. We appreciate your time.
If you want me to stay on for a longer period of time, I will. But I don't want to talk about the book so much. It takes me from a very vulnerable part in my life, high school dropout, running around, having a good time, but completely lost. And my dad, they had 7 children. I was the oldest, and they had their hands full with the other ones. And I went to work when I was 12. I rode a bicycle delivering prescription drugs in my neighborhood on a bicycle. I did that. And as I got older, I migrated to the soda fountain, and I did odd jobs. And when I reached a certain age, I decided to I outgrew the job. Basically, I was a little old for it. And but it is interesting. When I took my first job, I made 15 cents an hour. So when I hear people complaining, it was a different time. Money was, of course, much more important, much more valuable than if you made $5,000 a year, then you made a good income. So
houses were like 20,000, yeah.
But anyway, I finally we had the Vietnam War coming on. Here I am approaching 18. I'm certainly available. I'm not in college or under any protection program. So the Coast Guard a friend and I, we were both dropouts. We went to the post office in San Antonio. We thought we were going to get a civilian job, civil service. And we had no idea what the hell they were comprised of and what the requirements were. So it didn't last long. We figured out right away we weren't qualified for anything. And we wandered through the halls of the major main post office in San Antonio, and we saw all these recruiters, for the Navy and the Army and the Air Force. And we liked the Navy uniforms, the enlisted uniforms with the flap on the back and a scarf. But then we realized we might go to sea for 6 months at a time in a submarine or an aircraft carrier. And that wasn't in my bailiwick. I didn't want to go. I didn't want to be a sea, not for 6 months. So we walked further down the hall and we found the Coast Guard. Here's the same poster, the guy standing in the same uniform. The only distinction was there was a crest right there from the wrist to there, the crest, that designated Coast Guard. And the Coast Guard did not have its own uniforms until I think it was the late 70s, the Bender Blues. So before that, and for the years before that, the Coast Guard wore identical uniforms from the enlisted right up through the top rank. They wore Navy uniforms with a symbol. Our Eagles are different. Our commissioned Eagles are different. I like ours better. Don't tell the Navy guy, but so we went in the Coast Guard and messed around. And I grew up in the Coast Guard basically, and I have no telling where I would have ended up had I not had some very forgiving people who would slap me on the hands and upside the head when I needed it, and forgave me when I made transgressions, which there were many. So it's a pretty good story. It really is.
I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully, I'll get it here soon. I'm going to be.
I checked yesterday. He mailed it a couple days ago. He thought you'd have it. You probably have it in your mailbox, wherever that is. It'll be there.
Okay, I can't wait. Yeah, I'm going to take it to Florida.
Send me word if you want me back, and I'll be glad to come.
Okay. Oh, absolutely. We'll probably have you on the other show, so we'll have a much larger audience and much more participation. So, well, sir, you have a nice evening.
How do you control it? Right, you got the control, right?
Yeah. I'll drop you backstage, and then you just log out. It's
all right.
Something. Yeah,
Andy, it's been nice talking with you. You didn't say very much.
You too. Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm going to make you talk next time.
He's a strong silent type.
I figured he was listening. He just didn't want to talk much. So I'm pretty dominating. Once you wind me up, I kind of go. So.
Well, he probably would tell you it's hard to get me to shut up.
Well, I look forward to the next episode, and maybe you can ask me some questions.
I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait to read the book, sir. I will talk to you soon.
All right. Thank you much. Have
a
great evening.
All right. Bye-bye.
That was interesting.
It was, and I can't wait to get the book. Yeah, I knew he was going to send it. I just didn't know when it would get here. So hopefully soon. I'm excited about it. From what the review and stuff was that I read on the covers and stuff that he sent, it looks so interesting. And I've never seen. I can get this out of my way here. I've never really seen anywhere before much Coast Guard. Not much. Many Coast Guard stories. So, yeah, I actually did my college paper on the Coast Guard during Prohibition, and that's when they really grew the most, from under George Washington's army to Prohibition. They really grew significantly. So
nice.
Ask him about that. So that was a lot of history back then. So, and I gotta find. I really wish it was a limited edition. It was a square coin. Well, not coin, but a square medallion. And the Coast Guard only had one cat that served in official duty during the war. And his job was the rats off the ship. And someone took a coin and made like a presentation coin out of it. It even had his little paw print and his picture, everything. It was square, and it was its actual ID. So I wish I had bought it. I'll probably never find one now. I kicked around. I was like, oh, I really want that, but I don't have. I should have bought it.
Yeah,
that's one of those things you don't. It's like, oh, I need it, don't need it, don't need, want it, but don't need it. And so, and that's. Anybody that wants a coin, if you see it, grab it, because usually at most there's 100 made. If you're lucky, they'll make more, but after that, you can't get them. So if you see something you want, get the
exactly.
So I've had to learn that the hard way. And I did get the coin from Major Carroll from Fairfax Police Department.
Oh, cool.
FBI Virginia. So have you got yours yet?
No, not yet. He just actually emailed me back last week.
Okay. Well, he's been teaching, so
yeah. He said he's been busy.
I don't know if he was teaching or if he was. I don't know if I can say like on a mission, I guess, but
yeah.
But yeah, because I saw that Fairfax just made a huge arrest in a case that was from the 1980s involving genealogy.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah. So I imagine he had something to do with that.
Oh, I'm sure.
So yeah, it was a strangulation of a girl from the 1982. So
damn.
And they found it through DNA. So yeah, the government's got all our DNA.
Yeah, they do.
So have you got any new coins yet this week, Andy?
No, not recently.
Or did you get
some? I have some coming though.
Okay. Did you get the poker chip from Susan protecting?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I got that. I've been meaning to get in touch with her. I sent a shout out on my show to her, but I've been so dang busy and this week just felt crappy with this cold.
Yeah, thanks to the little gremlin.
Yeah, little tiny terrorist. I did get Hendersonville, Tennessee motor unit. I got that one. That was kind of cool.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, Susan, when she sent me a... Ooh, that's nice. Yeah, when she sent me a coin, it was the Pittsburgh Police Department motor unit.
Nice. Yeah, I got the Hendersonville, Tennessee, which I think is kind of cool because I know where that is. So,
that's pretty close to Nashville, isn't it?
Yeah, kind of north. I think it's northeast. Yeah, not far away from there. Not far away, but yeah, we got the patches for our show, the Grin Guardian Gang. Now, so we got the patches.
Awesome.
And then we got the coins too. We got 100 of the coins. Of course, all of us original members are going to have a coin. And then what to decide? I don't know what kind of contest we're going to do. I don't know how we're going to do it. So I don't think we're going to just sell them. I mean, if somebody wanted to buy them, we would, but I don't think we're going to just sell them. So I think we might do some contests or something.
Nice.
Have to talk to Matt and see what he says. Matt and Chuck and Corey. And they, of course, were out tonight. So I wonder if Chuck, if he's feeling any better. Because he'd been sick the week before, last week. I haven't heard from him.
Yeah, I haven't either. I just know that he said he wasn't going to be on tonight.
He might not be feeling well. This crap going around is horrible.
Oh, I know.
Well, here in Atlanta, it was in the 80s, and then it's boom in the 30s. So come on, man. Give me a break. I'm ready for warm weather.
Yeah.
I was going to go house sit for a friend in Florida, and I thought, I'll be in Florida. They got a pool. It'll be nice. It's going to be in the 50s. God almighty. I want to go where it's warm. Yeah. Was the Uncommon Soul said she was leaving us. She said for us to have a good evening. So,
oh, I'm surprised she didn't call.
Yeah, well, she had messaged
the last couple weeks.
Yeah, she had messaged me earlier and asked how things were going. And I told her they were going good. And she wanted to know if I wanted to come on tonight. And I said, nah, probably not tonight, but definitely tomorrow night on the Misfits. So I think we're going to have a pretty good show on the Misfits. So we're going to have Shay, Dina, let's see, who else? I'm got it in my head. JT, Sonia. Luke's not back yet. I don't know if you're going to be there.
Damn it, Bobby.
yeah, he'll end up there. He always says he ain't coming. He'll be there. I think that's it. I don't know. I think that's it. I haven't heard back from any of the other people that said they wanted to be on the show.
Have you heard anything from Jason recently?
Yeah, I did actually. Funny story. He calls me Wednesday and he says, hey, I'm almost in Atlanta. And I'm like, short notice? Because you should have called first. I'm sick. He's like, no, I'm not stopping. I was like, good. And he I don't know. He met a girl or something, and they decided to go on a cruise. And so he's out cruising right now. He's on a cruise down off of the coast of Florida.
Oh, my God.
I have no idea. So Luke is still sick. I talked to him today. So Luke is still sick. To quote, he said he felt like he had been put through a concrete mixer and then laid in the ground. So,
oh, jeez.
He said his voice still wasn't even back 100%. So,
damn.
Yeah, he's feeling bad. Oh, Uncommon Soul, you didn't miss anything. We're just Andy got off the phone and got off of here, and me and Andy one have been shooting the breeze for a few minutes before I reckon we'll get out of here. But everybody's been sick, so. But yeah, Luke Skywalker is sick, so he will not be on the Misfits tomorrow. That's 2 weeks. He's had the COVID. That stuff still ain't no joke.
Oh, I know.
It don't matter how many vaccinations you've had.
Doctors already told me, they said if I get COVID, I'm screwed.
I started, we were eating dinner tonight, and I was like, she's like, you put a little hot sauce on that. And I was like, yeah, I can feel it burning. I was like, but I can't taste it. I was like, God, I hope I don't have COVID.
Get the test out.
Yeah, I need to probably, but I've been isolated here. I haven't went anywhere, so it's not like anybody is gonna get sick from me. Did I miss the Angels?
Quarantine time.
Well, it's less now.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, you could 24 hours.
Yeah, it was like 2 weeks, then a week, and then 5 days, and now 24 hours.
Yep, 24 hours, and come on back to work. We need you. Because I remember, when it first happened, if we were just exposed, they changed that policy for quite a while after a while, because if you were exposed, you got sent home and you were off 3 shifts, which if you do fire department math, that's almost 2 weeks.
Exactly.
Whether you're sick or not. So after a while, they didn't have any firemen to run the department. They're like, okay, we got to rethink this policy. And then they did this. We had to cut in every morning, and they had this machine you had to stand in front of, and it took your picture, and it took your temperature while you were standing there, and you had to push the button. Yes, I have cold or flu symptoms. No, I don't need it. Whatever. I swear on my baby's firstborn or whatever. Mm-hmm. And one of the firemen, he was coming in from a bender, and he had his mug of coffee up under his chin. He was just like pouring the coffee in because he felt so bad. It took the temperature of the coffee, and it wasn't, I think, 5 minutes. The chief was there. The police chief was there. Somebody from city council was there, and they're like, "Way to shut the station down." We're like, "What?" Like, Bobby came in and he's got 106-degree fever, and he's like, "What? I feel fine." And they're like, "No, you had a fever." Turned out it was his coffee. So we had to leave everything outside the room after that, and then walk in and be scanned. I was like, leave it to a damn fireman.
Exactly. Glenn was like, it wasn't me this time.
Yeah, it wasn't. I hated that thing because they moved it it used to be by the front door.
Uh-huh.
But nobody ever came through the front door at the firehouse. We never come through the front. We always come through the back.
Right.
So they moved it to the TV room. And we felt like they were sitting there watching us. So we moved it and turned it around facing the wall.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, I hated that thing. There's a picture of me somewhere I'm taking a picture of it, taking a picture of me. But yeah, it wasn't. Funny. The shift change was at 7? It wasn't an hour. And the whole, the chief was there, the assistant chief, the battalion chief, everybody was there. The police chief, holy shit, we're being swatted.
Yeah, you're lucky the SWAT team didn't show up.
That happened in the middle of the night at the firehouse.
Oh,
but
nice.
Yeah, we got dispatched to a wreck, and they canceled us. And so I wandered back in the kitchen, was going to get a glass of milk or something. And the wreck was right down the street, and I saw all the blue lights. Well, I see a blue light coming towards the station. It turns in the station and comes around the back. And I was like, oh, hell, he's coming in the station. I was like, he better know better to come running in the back door, because they never went in the bedrooms. Mm-hmm. And sure enough, he comes in there running his flashlight. Wake up. I got shot. I was like, God, stop.
God.
Yeah, there's a wreck down the street. It's on fire. People are trapped. We're like, oh, I guess dispatch shouldn't have canceled us.
Yeah. Oh, we'll be right blue lights.
We never made it to the truck. I don't even think the driver had made it to the truck before they canceled us.
Oh, man.
I know the officer hadn't. So I don't think the driver had even. I was the only one I think that made it to the truck. I was always like that. I was always the first to the truck, first to the door of the fire, first to grab the jaws, grab the Halligan.
Nice.
Halligan was my baby. I'd probably break my arm lifting it now. So
Yeah, they're pretty heavy now. Jeez.
yeah, I need to get back in shape and go do something. I don't know what I'm going to do. So yeah, you're right on comments. So a lot of people did miss work to protect others and prevent the spread because if somebody was even sick in your house there for a while, you couldn't even go in.
Yeah.
Whether you were exposed to them or not.
Exactly.
And the tiny terrorist caught it. And, he was sick. He was so sick. I ended up having to take him to Children's. I was like, no, they're not going to do much. Maybe give him some fluids. But they couldn't get the fever down, and he was so sick.
Was he in there long?
No, they didn't keep him.
Oh.
They didn't keep him at all. So, no, he got lucky. So, but so now he just spread all the stuff to us. So he's getting even with me.
Oh, jeez.
Well, I think we may call it early tonight, and I may just go to bed. My daughter is supposed to be coming up from Tennessee, or down from
cool.
Tennessee. So I don't know where she's at, but I may just go to bed. I feel so blah. We got another show.
You don't sound too good either.
Oh yeah, my throat is. Ugh. Yeah, you could always tell when I did the radio show. Oh Lord, they're making good time coming from Tennessee. They're in Murphy, North Carolina. Oh, they're in Franklin, North Carolina. Yeah, on my radio show, somebody commented I sound like I had a frog in my throat. So, no, but yeah, anybody that's interested, we are on Nashville, WRFN, FRN, WR. Shit, I better remember this if I'm gonna be working there. Nashville. So at 11 o'clock, 1 hour. It won't be 11 o'clock our time. It'll be 11 o'clock their time. So I guess it's 2 hours. But check this out. It's the episode with Rich Fields and Wayne Miller. If I recall correctly, I sent them. So got them started off right. And then I got the episode sent off to New Mexico. So those are out. And I think Denver's are out. So I got episodes sent off to everybody. I'm all caught up on making sure everybody has enough episodes. So we got to get these audio issues fixed, though, because, good Lord, it's driving me crazy. So I haven't heard it tonight, though. Have you heard it tonight?
No, I haven't heard anything.
No, I don't know. I don't know. But Streamlabs is working on it. I would hate to go to their competitor, but their competitor has a good price. So
Yeah, they do.
That's all I'll say about that. But if we do move services, none of our fans will notice a difference. So
right.
We'll probably grow more fans because we'll still be broadcasting on YouTube and Facebook and everywhere we are. So, but Andy, are you going to be with us tomorrow night on Misfits, or are you going to be over
I'm gonna
with?
try.
All right. Well, I know you've done run off and left me for that Brenda woman. So, well, you can go over there and keep them out of trouble for them. Tell them I said hello and I'm sick. I ain't going to drop in tonight. So,
all righty, I'll tell them that.
All right, Andy. Well, we will see you tomorrow on the Misfits, and we'll see. Next week we do actually have a need to talk about real quick before we get off. He is written a book as well. Hold up here, I will say his name wrong. Joseph Soul. He's a combat veteran who brings his story from addiction to recovery, called The Broken Memory. The Broken Mirror is the memory of his mom. So he's next week talk about challenge coins and his book. So looking forward to that. I got his book actually. I'm going to start reading it. So Wednesday we have a comic book bio. I got a Wednesday show. What is Wednesday show? We have an author that wrote a Tragedy Man, a horror he wrote a horror book. And then we have another one that is right behind him that's an author. So we're off to go. Well, KG, I'm glad to see you in the house. You missed a good show. We had Navy questions. You'd have enjoyed it. So, all right, Andy, we will see you tomorrow night. For the rest of you, thanks for tuning in. And sorry we bailed on you earlier, but I don't feel that great. So we will talk to y'all later.
All right.
Not time for now.
See ya.